Greetings Exiles, I'm Gav. Today we're diving deep into one of Path of Exile's longest running mysteries. An Easter egg and community meme that grinding gear games and players alike have kept running since as far back as 2012, perhaps even longer. I'm talking of course about fishing in Path of Exile. For over a decade, players have searched for answers on this topic. Was it all just a joke? Is fishing actually a secret game feature? Or is it a riddle that GGG never intended for us to solve? To this day, we still don't know the answer. But in today's video, we're going to cast our line deep into the historical timeline, as well as the Easter egg items involved, and the legend surrounding Path of Exile's greatest unsolved mystery. While we won't be solving this mystery ourselves, I wanted to detail as completely as I could this massive community effort in keeping this meme alive all of these years. To start, let's journey back to where it all began. Trolling to us internet folk is a term used to describe the act of deliberately attempting to upset or mislead someone online. But what many don't know is that it's also a method of fishing. Using multiple baited fishing lines attached to your ship or vessel and drawing those lines through the water at a slow and consistent speed is the nautical act of trolling for fish. One of the earliest forum threads that I could find on the subject of fishing in Path of Exile was a post titled, "Anybody catch anything good yet?" This was posted by the player Frosty Hardtop on May 10th, 2012. They stated that they had been sitting on the broken bridge for 2 hours now, catching dozens of coral sunfish and iron-toothed snagglers, but nothing really good yet. They asked for any advice that could be given to newbie anglers and requested that others share their fishing stories. Several other players chimed in immediately, telling Frosty to talk to the old man in the forest encampment and to surf down the flooded Strand coast for a special catch. Another said that drops get better in the higher difficulty zones, with catches such as rainbow starfish and rockhide snappers. Players with no idea what these folks were talking about assumed that this was just a troll thread, while others were pleading for information on how to begin their fishing journey. More stories sprouted up about finding an NPC named Jabberjaws to start a series of quests that would steer them in the right direction. Then Chris Wilson himself chimed in on the forum thread saying, "This is a good spot, I guess." And he linked an image of his character standing next to a drowned kiwi in the Cavern of Wrath. To add fuel to the fire, GGG's UI guy at the time, Max S, replied in the same thread, stating that since a lot of folks complained about the old background image on the fishing slider, they've updated it with a newer version and were asking for constructive feedback. Max S also said that this was an attempt to make fishing a little bit more accessible and easier to understand so that new players could get into it. The trolling and overall confusion within this thread continued in a downward spiral for months from here, but I think you get the picture. I'll have a link to this thread of over 25 pages of collective trolling in the description for those interested in reading through all of it. The veterans within the community and the developers were all in on perpetuating myths about the potential hidden minigame of fishing in Path of Exile, all in the hopes that newer players would take the bait. But the mystery didn't end there. Soon, players stumbled upon another Easter egg, an elusive creature hiding in the mudflats. In late 2012, early 2013, players were beginning to find an albino Rhoa monster in the mudflats. It's said that the rarity of this find is around 1 in 150 instances of the mudflats after extensive testing. The albino Rhoa wasn't like other creatures in Wraeclast. Instead of attacking, it would run away from players. Killing it would yield a single currency item called an albino Rhoa feather. This item had seemingly no known purpose at the time, and due to the item being shrouded in mystery, players lumped it into the elaborate fishing myth almost immediately. Stories popped up of players using these feathers on their fishing rods, which granted additional quality to the item, thus making their fishing more efficient. On April 2nd, 2013, a forum thread was started by Mender Swiftpaw, titled, "The Truth About Albino Rhoa Feathers." As an owner of an albino Rhoa feather themselves, Mender Swiftpaw stated that they were appreciative of all the trolling that has gone on about fishing, pet recipes, the Eternal Laboratory, and otherwise, but that this thread was made in an attempt to come together with the community to discover the actual use for these feathers. A few months later, open beta supporter packs offered to players in June of 2013 contained Rhoa pets, in-game cosmetics, forum titles, and physical goods as well. If you purchased the Divine supporter pack or above, one of the physical items that you would receive was the Chaos Orb keychain. In a following post on the forums, Chris Wilson shared with the players that their design for the keychain was nearly finished, and he showed off their progress. Chris also mentioned in this post that there was a vendor recipe that was added to the game in closed beta that wasn't common knowledge yet, stating that he knows of only one player that currently knows this vendor recipe. Chris further elaborated that Grinding Gear Games enjoys vendor recipes, unique items, and uses for albino Rhoa feathers to be kept a secret, because this allows the players who find them to either share the information with the community or keep it for themselves for profit. He promised not to disclose what the recipe was, but this was his reminder to all Exiles that there are secrets worth uncovering within Wraeclast. This ignited the community once more to find a use for these mysterious feathers. Speculation and testing of theories went on for years on the forums and elsewhere after that, but they all came up empty. The very same supporter pack campaign that began earlier that year during the open beta also contained a Ruler of Wraeclast tier with a price tag of $12,500. It's speculated that the albino Rhoa monster and their feathers were just a dead-end Easter egg that was added to the game by a Ruler of Wraeclast supporter, an Easter egg that Chris Wilson and GGG were more than happy to help proliferate. Up to this point in the game's life, the act of fishing in Path of Exile was just a tall tale. A fisherman, even fictional ones, are only as good as their fishing rod, but no one had been able to link theirs in-game or on the forums, which was evidence that their stories weren't real. That is, until fishing rods began appearing in Wraeclast. On September 6, 2013, still during the beta period of Path of Exile, a player by the name of Swordly posted to the forums describing an odd item they had received, a two-handed sword that was called a fishing rod. Video evidence was recorded that same day by another player, and Swordly linked them the item. It was called Torment Bite Fishing Rod. The stats on the item included increases to fishing line strength, a Rhoa feather lure, an Ezomite shell hook, and increased fishing range. Modifiers that had never been seen before until now. They even met up in Lion Eye's watch, and Swordly dropped it in the trade window to further prove its existence. The item was real. One of the developers, Rhoa, stated in that very forum thread that this was a big mistake on their part, and that the item shouldn't have dropped or even exist. They informed Swordly and anyone else interested in this mystery that this rod and any others would be vanishing in a patch the following Monday, warning players not to spend too much time or currency on trying to obtain one. Rhoa followed up with an edit stating that they're unable to give out any more information about unannounced gameplay features, either real or imaginary. On September 9th of 2013, patch version 0.11.5c was released, and any existing fishing rods were deleted from the game. The patch notes contained a cryptic line stating, "We don't know anything about those fishing rods that spawned over the weekend, but they're gone now." But Grinding Gear Games wasn't done trolling yet. Path of Exile released in its 1.0 state on October 23, 2013. Just a few months later that year, on December 22nd, a player by the name of Rat made a post on Reddit titled, "I'm almost afraid to equip this." They linked an image of a fishing rod that they had dropped in Act 3. Rather than it being tied to a two-handed sword like before, fishing rods now had their own item base type. Rat re-rolled this item several times by chancing and scouring it to see what kind of mods this new base type could roll. The item received mods such as Eternal Iron Hook, reduced fishing pool consumption, Siren Worm Bait, and others. No one had any idea what was going on at this point. Was this still a meme, or was Grinding Gear Games actually working on adding in fishing content? A screenshot in that same Reddit post showed GGG Neon, who some of you may know as Mark Roberts, questioning this drop. After being directed to the screenshot, Neon said, "Must log off. I will be executed if I speak of it." Chris Wilson followed up on this screenshot of Neon and said, "Execution time." From here on out, it was a meme to hush and quell any mention of the fishing Easter egg. Everyone joked about a potential ban from Grinding Gear Games for even talking about it. Folks would go as far as adding redacted or deleted to their posts to make it seem as though the information they provided was moderated by GGG. This wasn't the end of the meme or mystery surrounding fishing, however. Quite the opposite. Whispers of sighting a Master Fisherman in random areas throughout Wraeclast had started to spread. On August 20th, 2014, Forsaken Masters were added to the game with patch 1.2.0. The original Masters offered missions to the players, which provided unique challenges and rewards. These Masters had to be found in the wild initially, but once their first quest was completed, they could be found in town and even invited to your hideout. There was one Forsaken Master that wasn't listed in the announcement, Krilson the Master Fisherman. The earliest recorded sighting of Krilson date back to October 26, 2014, in a Reddit post by the player Alistair. They grabbed a screenshot and as much initial information as they could. Krilson had dialogue about all of the other Forsaken Masters as well as Captain Fairgraves. And believe it or not, Chris Wilson himself did the voice work for Krilson.
Hi, I'm Krilson of Winding Pier fame. For years, people have been asking me to teach them how to fish. Many question whether fishing is even possible in a harsh, unforgiving continent like Wraeclast.
Krilson requires a gear check when you first encounter him.
To become a Master Fisherman, one thing is for certain. You're going to need a rod, preferably one with good cast speed. So if you happen to see a fishing rod on your travels, then bring it back to me. I'll be here as long as the fish are biting.
You have to have a fishing rod equipped.
Excellent, you have passed the gear check and appear to have a fishing rod. A rather nice one too. Now you are ready to catch some of Wraeclast's finest fish. The next step on your journey to becoming a Master Fisherman worthy of the Winding Pier is to actually catch some fish. Fishing is the simplest thing in the world. With your rod equipped, just approach a pool of water and cast away. It's really intuitive. Soon you'll find yourself overburdened with fish of various types. Before you rush off to trade your haul for a better rod though, bring me back a few of the choicest specimens to demonstrate your skill.
Once you pass that gear check, you're given your first fishing quest. These quests can vary between fishing up a pair of rainbow striped boots to fishing up a specific amount of rare fish and returning them to Krilson. A few details regarding Krilson are that only the person that found him can see him, and if you're running maps in a party, only one person in that party can see him. He also disappears if you move too far away from him, or portal out and back into the instance, leaving only his fishing hole behind. There's been over 100 sightings documented since 2014, but no one has verified completing the follow-up quest after passing the gear check. And no one willing to spill the beans has actually figured out how to cast their line into the water and fish.
Someone is asking, is it currently possible to finish the Krilson line?
There's a reason we recorded all that extra voice acting that they haven't unlocked, let's just say that, but I'm not going to give any more information. I've got to go, unfortunately, fishing secrets and all.
Okay, that's a good note to end on.
If you ever spot Krilson, consider yourself extremely lucky, as the chances are said to be as rare as dropping a mirror of Calandra. Let's take a closer look at some of the fishing items that have been found or secretly appeared in the game over the years. Aside from the fishing rod base item and albino Rhoa feather, there are many other items in the game that are fishing themed or tie in directly to the mystery. Starting off with the Rodhead Talisman, which was introduced into the game alongside the Talisman Challenge League on December 11th, 2015. This particular talisman was an Easter egg that yet again referenced the ongoing meme of fishing. It provided an increase to bite sensitivity and could roll other fishing mods if dropped as a magic or rare item. Next up is the anomalous Portal Gem. Introduced in Heist League patch 3.12, this alternate quality portal gem provided a 0.01% chance per 1% quality to travel to the Winding Pier while on a lay fishing line. There are no documented visits to this famed Winding Pier, although many players have gone to great lengths trying to get there. It's possible to increase gem quality to nearly 100% with certain items, which would still only result in a near 1% chance to travel to the Winding Pier. And that's not even considering the condition of being on a lay fishing line, which may or may not exist and is yet to be found. Now for unique fishing items. For context, many of the uniques in the game have been designed by supporters. Those that purchased the $1,000 Diamond Supporter Pack via the very first Supporter Pack campaign during closed beta had the opportunity to design their own unique with GGG. Some of those donors chose to double down on the fishing mystery with their unique design, and I'll mention those supporters by name if they're known. The first unique we'll talk about is the Song of the Sirens fishing rod, which provides siren worm bait and allows the catching of exotic fish. This fishing rod was secretly added as part of patch 1.04 on December 23, 2013. The line of text in the patch notes simply states that 5 uniques had been added to the game, 2 of which were designed by supporters. That same patch had a note stating that a special item had been added to the game by a supporter as well. It's speculated that the albino Rhoa feather was that special item. The first sighting of this unique fishing rod was posted to Reddit on January 3, 2014 by a player named Barcudo, who stated that it wasn't theirs but they saw it posted in standard global chat. No actual use for fishing rods has been found still to this day. Another fishy unique is Fairgrave's Tricorn, the hat worn by the legendary Captain Sigmund Fairgraves himself. It was discovered through rigorous testing and observation that this item actually allows fishing rods to drop off of unique monsters. Other functions and relations to fishing aren't known at this time. Another honorable mention are of course the Rainbow Stride Conjurer boots. As mentioned before, one of Krilsen's quests for the player is to fish up a pair of Rainbow Stride boots, a quest that has never been completed. These boots have been in game for quite a while, even longer than Krilsen, but no strange occurrences regarding fishing or otherwise have been noted by the community while wearing them. And the boots were even meta for several builds for a time, so the sample size of players wearing them was rather large in the early days. Next up are the Slitherpinch Bronze Scale Gloves. These unique gloves, when corrupted, are currently a known requirement for dropping an Angler's Plate from a rare monster. Angler's Plate is a unique unset ring that was created by the supporter Sauron Satan. The item cannot be chance orbed into, and it's extremely rare, requiring specific conditions to even drop one. This is easily one of the most prized possessions for collectors and one of the most sought after secret uniques. It was found out by Poor Fishwife, who is a prolific Wraeclastian detective within the community, that the Angler's Plate ring can only be dropped from rare monsters. It required a corrupted version of the Slitherpinch gloves to be equipped, as well as some means of making monsters flee, either through the chance to flee support gem or the unique ring Blackheart. Even with those conditions met, this item is said to be far more rare than a natural headhunter drop, an absolutely insane secret item. The Angler's Plate ring allows for the catching of corrupted fish and has many other useful fishing mods on it. Reefbane was another unique fishing rod revealed to the community by the YouTuber It's Yoji. This fishing rod has the unique ability of glowing when the player has the rod equipped and is in a zone that contains unique fish. In his short reveal video, he had actual footage provided by Grinding Gear Games that showed what the glow looked like. Countless investigations and efforts have taken place over the years to try and fully understand this glowing property. Though the glow and what instances can produce the glow seems to be figured out, nothing additional has been found in regards to these unique fish mentioned on the Reefbane item. The final unique we'll talk about today is Replica Baited Breath. The base version of this belt was already a play on words for baiting, and so in Heist League patch 3.12, where replica uniques were introduced, the replica version of Baited Breath once again breathed life into the fishing mystery. The belt had increased fishing pool consumption, increased fishing range, and an increased rarity of caught fish. Before we wrap up this video, I wanted to take a brief moment to talk about the wonderful fishing and mystery hunting community within Wraeclast. It was never my intent to solve the mystery of fishing in this video, merely to bring the story to light and compile all of the facts that I could. That's why I have to talk about the absolutely insane exiles that have taken it upon themselves to legitimately figure it all out. This community is responsible for a lot of the rigorous testing that takes place in the shadows of Wraeclast. They test and uncover further data using proper theory crafting and a scientific methodology. I already mentioned Poor Fishwife briefly earlier in this video, but they deserve more credit than I can provide here. Through data mining and extreme testing done by Poor Fishwife themselves and others within the community, many secrets have been unveiled, and they continue to track, monitor, and test other mysteries within Wraeclast that still remain unsolved. You can find Poor Fishwife on Reddit quite frequently, and they've posted and maintained several issues of their personal magazine, titled Angler's Mate, since 2020. These Angler's Mate issues contain all sorts of discoveries and a lot of entertaining reads. Aside from the official forums, the wiki, Reddit, and YouTube, a lot of the information that I found while researching this topic came from the website poe.fish, a website dedicated to this mystery and running joke of fishing. It's been maintained and added to by Darren, Poor Fishwife, and other admins of that community. If you want to be the one to solve the myth of fishing in Path of Exile, I highly suggest joining the Fishcord, a Discord community dedicated to fishing. Also, if you consider yourself a detective or just love finding Easter eggs and secrets in games, and you'd like to participate in the various mysteries of Wraeclast, then join the Prohibited Library, a community dedicated to exactly that through the use of science and data collection. I'll have links to the poe.fish website if you'd like to go into further detail on fishing, and I'll also link both of these mentioned Discords for anyone interested in getting involved. For those of you that play Path of Exile 2 almost exclusively, like myself at this point, an albino Rhoa feather was found in Act 1 Cruel in Path of Exile 2 on February 6th, 2025. The hunt for fish and secrets within Wraeclast has carried over into the sequel. Whether you're a believer in the prospect of fishing in Path of Exile, or you just enjoy the lengths that GGG and the community has gone to prolong the joke and Easter egg, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. Share a story about any experience you've had with fishing or any other mysteries within Wraeclast that you particularly enjoy. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to my channel for more Path of Exile 2 content and documentaries like these, and I'll see you all in the next one. Farewell.